Yay, you're here. So I was wondering if you wouldn't mind telling me something. I really hope that you will. See, since I wrote the story, I already knew what it was about when I got to see the cover for the first time. So I'm wondering, when you saw the cover for the first time, what did you think the story would be about? Pause it right here and go ahead and tell me. Okay, I hope that you send that one to me, but if you don't, it's okay. Again, it's totally fine if you want to keep all these in your head or inside your family, but let's go ahead and get started. Chapter 1. 10. Ten is a perfect age. You can walk to the store, ride your bike, and no one worries because when you're 10, you know right from wrong, even if you sometimes forget to think about it. It was that way with Amaya. At least it was in her heart. On the morning of her 10th birthday, she knew she was capable of doing something amazing, like walking to school all on her own. It was only 6 blocks away. Surely she'd make it. But when she asked her father about it over breakfast, he gave her the same excuse he had given her when she was 9. "You're too tall," he said. "People will think you're older." Amaya was tall for her age. She liked it. It was one of the reasons she could swim the 100 meters 2 full seconds faster than anyone else in her group. She didn't want to stop being tall, and she couldn't see what was so horrible about people thinking she was older anyway. "But I'm 10 now," Amaya said. 10 is older, isn't it? Okay, pause. What do you think about that? Do you think Amaya's father kind of has a point, or do you think he's being a little bit overprotective? Has anything like that ever happened to you? Okay, well, I know it has definitely happened to me, but let's keep going. "But I'm 10 now," Amaya said. 10 is older, isn't it? "Yes, but..." Her father shook his head, his voice trailing off. He could never quite explain it. He just made his life following her from place to place, to school, to libraries, to swim meets and championships, flute lessons and recitals. Amaya's father went with her everywhere. She didn't always mind. Her father was good at fading into the background when she wanted to feel alone, and for the most part, they liked doing the same things. The one thing Amaya's father did not share was Amaya's love of the water. He tolerated the water. He had to. After all, he was human, and on top of that, he had married a marine biologist. Marine biologists are notoriously fond of water. However, Amaya's mother was fond of Amaya's father as well, and they worked it out so that, for the most part, he stayed on dry land where he could plant his feet and not be toppled over by the incoming tide. The closest Amaya's father ever got to large bodies of water was sitting poolside at Amaya's swim practices on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and her swim meets every 3rd Saturday. "Well, can I at least go to swim practice by myself?" Swim practice was the one place Amaya wished that she could have her mother instead. Everyone on her team called her the Little Mermaid. She was that good. Yet, at every practice, her father sat on the edge of the bleachers, nervously watching her come up for breath as if she might drown. She wished her mother would take his place just once. Or, even better, she wished her mother would take her out to sea. Her mother was at sea most of the time. Amaya liked to imagine what it was like to have the boat rocking beneath your feet and the spray of salt water against your face before you dove in with your legs pressed together. That was the reason she had asked for swim lessons in the first place. For years, she begged her mother to bring her along. "I can't, baby. Who would take care of you when I'm working?" "I can take care of myself," Amaya would say. "Even if I fall overboard, I can just swim back." Her mother would smile and say, "I know you try, little mermaid, but no matter how many medals you've won, swimming in the sea is not quite the same as swimming indoors." Amaya loved when her mother called her little mermaid and secretly pretended to be one in the pool when no one was looking. But her mother's pet name never distracted her from her purpose. After her mother had said the part about it being different to swim in the sea, Amaya would say that was exactly why her mother should take her, so she could practice. Then her mother would feel so guilty that she would change the subject by telling her about her latest discovery or giving her a gift. That always worked. Amaya was as fascinated with marine biology as her mother was. So my cat is over in the left, just knocking things over because I'm not paying attention to him. This is the life that I live at home, but let's get back to the story. Amaya was as fascinated with marine biology as her mother was and could never pass up the chance to learn more. She listened to her mother's stories eagerly and pored over whatever treasure she'd brought back before adding it to her collection. Her room was filled with shark teeth, bits of coral, fish fossils, and hundreds of shells. Amaya knew their routine so well that she didn't know what to say when her mother, who had just gotten back from somewhere in the Pacific, handed her a jewelry box instead of something wrapped in a loose cloth after dinner on her 10th birthday. "Open it," said her mother. Her father looked on, nervous but nodding his approval. The box creaked open in Amaya's hands. There was a shell inside, but despite being shaped like a boring turret snail, it was nothing like any shell Amaya had ever seen before. Boring turret snail shells were her favorite, but usually they had brown speckles going up their spires. This one was so white it almost glowed. "I saw it on the beach and immediately thought of you, but I knew something so beautiful must have an owner. The woman who claimed it said I was free to have it, but that the custom was to give it to a child of the water. That's when I knew it was destined for my little mermaid. I thought you might like to wear it tomorrow." "What's happening tomorrow?" "We're gonna take you where I found it. It's a bit far. I hope you don't mind." Her mother smiled. It took a moment for the words to sink in, but once they did, Amaya jumped up and hugged her mother in response. They were going to an island in the middle of the Pacific. Her mother was finally taking her to the ocean. She glanced up at her father just to be sure that it was okay. Her father smiled quietly and nodded again. Amaya squeezed her mother even harder. "I thought it was about time. After all, you are 10 today," said her mother, placing the shell necklace over Amaya's hand. "There now, you really do look like a mermaid." Okay, so, you guys, what do you think is up with that shell necklace? Okay, well, I hope you send it to me. Even if you don't, once again, that's okay. But that is where we're going to stop for today. If you have a little bit more time and you'd like to hear the next chapter, then you can click the next video. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.